Welcome back to Sussex against Durham here in Chesterley Street. We've had a few technical issues, a few issues with the Wi-Fi, but we are back now. Not a huge amount has happened, just a couple runs from the over so far. Rain continues, and that will be the end of his over there. It's the 7th of the day, 6th since lunch. Potts similarly has bowled 6, and therefore will take a break. From the Fingal end, we're seeing Sam Connors come into the attack now. You did think 6 overs could be the way, Rob, and you are spot on.
Yeah, just got to be careful. You don't want to over bowl Potts. You know, he'll be needed for at least 2 more spells today, so just maybe starting to be a little bit tired, and it's good control from these Connors will need to follow it up though, as will Baz Toledo when he's eventually brought in. Can't allow the change of bowlers to mean that Sussex get away. EG on the money. Unfortunately for England, Ben Duckett has just turned up, which is positive, but the rain has hit. So they are currently off at Headingley. England going well, 181 without loss as they look to chase down 371.
Starts with a dot, does Connors. Follows it up with a dot. He's seen the way to follow with Potts and rain starting well this afternoon. And it's now on to him, up to him to continue. Can't see Baz the leader warming up, which suggests rain may continue from the Lumley ends. So just keep an eye on that. Rain has bowled very tidily so far today. Durham generally have actually. Run rate 2.6 at the moment. The lead is just shy of 70. 3 wickets down.
Nice short ball. Very nice from Connors to mix up. Just making sure that Ibrahim has to stay on his toes and can't just rock on that front foot. Ooh. That one almost skids on from Connors. Starts with the maiden. 35 for 3.
As always, there are a lot of other championship games happening around the country. Hampshire currently leads Essex by 156. They're 8 down with a score of 452 on the board at the moment.
I think they've just lost Kyle Abbott as well. So 452 for 9, but they're in a very good position nevertheless.
Somerset 498 all out. Warwickshire currently trail by 235, 5 down. So it's very much on the cards for a Somerset win down in Birmingham. Surrey have already beaten Worcestershire by 9 wickets pretty comfortably in the end. And the other Division 1 game Yorkshire trailing by over 200 as Notts piled on 4-8-7. Yorkshire 4 down, 2-7-3. Probably looking like it might be a draw at Trent Bridge. Rain in now. Keeps a fraction low perhaps. Onto the back foot was James Coles defending. Division 2 as well. They are playing in Bristol. Gloucestershire are trailing by 39. As Derby put on almost 400 after skittling the home sides 187. Currently 172 for 3. So on the cards there is a Derbyshire win. Lancashire trailing by 100 in Blackpool to Kent. That one's shorter and wider, but left alone. Swinging away actually there from Ben Rain. Middlesex are pretty much at parity in Northampton. Both sides scored over 400 in their first innings. And finally, Leicestershire, who have been very, very strong in Division 2, currently 532 for 7, leading by 180 against Glamorgan. There's Rain back of a length again, and Coles just defends into the leg sides. Yeah, as expected, rain does continue here, possibly for a long spell. Still yet to see Baz the leader warming up. Picked up a very good fourfer in the first innings. And again keeps a fraction low from Rain. Coles just about keeps that one out. And again, just having a look at the pitch, he's not been too happy with it, despite scoring best part of 150 on the first 2 days. Inside edge challenged, but Coles is up to the challenge and instead drives firmly out towards the Durham skipper at mid-on.
Is now just starting to rain a little bit.
Pulled away up in the air, but it will be 4. Far enough behind squares from Coles. Reads it early, plays it well, keeps it away from Will Rhodes, who's roaming out there at deep backward square leg. Moves Sussex on to 39. Little bit fortuitous perhaps. Sorry, Connors is out there, not Rhodes. They keep swapping to those two at deep fine leg, deep backward point as well. Rhodes again, probably happy he's had the promotion up into the ring again. That does end the over. Would have been a maiden, except for that final delivery. Short one dug in. Connors continues for a second over. It's definitely flattened out a fraction in the last few overs. Not anywhere near as many opportunities. Will Rhodes perhaps coming into the slips, or is he just having a little chat?
Maybe going towards a...
No, I think he's staying put at backward point.
Yeah. Connors with that slingy action. He's got... Goes straight, but Ibrahim clips him away.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see Connors slide one through, sort of under the defences almost, of one of these Sussex batters today. The pitch has kept a fraction lower in the last few overs than we've seen. Fired down the leg side by Connors. Still just the one run from his first 10 deliveries though. And the rain is definitely coming down a little bit harder here up in the northeast.
Yeah, it's the last thing Durham want, because his Kookaburra ball is not good in the rain. I think the umpires are going to have a chat. I think Alex Lees would be quite happy to go off right about now.
They're going to continue. I think the rain is starting to ease a fraction. Not relenting yet though.
Nicely flicked away from Coles out to Clark. Just wait and see if they're trying to get to the over before taking the players off. I mean, how many times over the years in county cricket do we bemoan that players are taking in the middle of the over rather than waiting till the end when they can? But I wouldn't be at all surprised if they are taken here. Slow block, just 2 from it. 41 for 3. It's going to be a change. Eventually, Ben Rain's long spell of 8 overs is done.
Yeah, Flying Dutchman Baz the leader into the attack. Down at the Lumley ends. Got a much more regulation field. 2 sweepers still out on the leg side. Gay just in front of square. And Connors at fine leg. Graham Clark out there at deep on the cover boundary in front of the Daffabet stand as well. And Colin Ackerman, the only slip. Straight away challenging Coles, which is great to see. It's definitely something you can't complain about with the Durham attackers. The umpires are going to have another chat perhaps.
I think this is it.
The rain has definitely gotten a fraction harder. It's very windy as well. The rain's almost looking parallel to the ground. Yeah, the umpires are taking the bails off by the looks of it. Yeah, that will be a break for rain. Tractor coming on with the covers. Stumps will be taken out the ground and players will have at least a little bit of respite from the weather. Sussex 41 for 3. They find themselves after an hour of the second session.
Yeah, quick work from the ground staff as well. We'll take a break. Sussex still reeling after those 3 wickets early in the afternoon session. Well, thankfully, another only short rain delay here after the one we had on day one.
It is very much so windy that they're only going to be off for a few minutes at a time, you'd think, if the rain does come. We saw it earlier today with a few really brief showers they didn't even go off the field for. And it's the same again, pretty much, just now. 3 o'clock on the dot. Still a few more hours of today to play. In theory, 55 overs still to bowl. I think that could be a bit of a challenge, depending on light and stuff, as well. As Baz, the leader, comes in full and straight, too full, and whips away out to the deep square leg boundary. They'll come back for... No, they won't come back for 2.
No, it was Amelia Gay was straight onto it.
I think Coles was pretty content with the single. Ibrahim was a little bit more pushy, thinking about 2. And yeah, a fraction too full that time from the leader. That one's a bit better, dug in, back of a length for Ibrahim to just defend. We're back on the field here. They're back on the field in Headingley, and the first wicket has fallen for England. Zach Crawley departs for 65. And what could be a very, very exciting end there. Full again from the leader and just driven out towards Matt Potts at mid-off. Could be in for a very exciting finish tomorrow as well here at the Banks Homes Riverside. Durham picking up 3 quick wickets soon after the lunch break. And will be looking to try and keep the momentum going in their way. A little bit of a lull in the last half an hour or so. But that rain break will allow them to just settle, regroup in the changing room, and they will have been able to chat, discuss, think out some plans as well. Again attacking the stumps. Dot ball to end the leader's first over. Just the 1 run from it. Sussex 42 for 3. 17 overs into their second innings. James Coles 12 of 28. Dan Ibrahim 7 off 33. Both have been very watchful without offering any major opportunities so far today. Connors to continue here from the Finkel ends. Bowled very tidily so far. 2 runs from his 2 overs.
There is still some rain in the air. Welcome back, Sam Connors. James Coles does not fear it at all. Pulls him magnificently through mid-wicket for another 4, and Sussex may be looking at attack as the best form of defence early on.
Yeah, gorgeous sound off the bat there from Coles. Just rocked back and launches that one through mid-wicket. Clark's out there on the deep square leg boundary for a shot exactly like that, but hit too well, too far in front of square.
And this one a lot more traditional. Lovely clip through mid-wicket. So Connors starts with back-to-back boundaries. 50 comes up for the visitors in their second innings. They have had to work incredibly hard for those. Matthew Potts has got a cloth with him to help dry off the Kookaburra ball.
Yeah, it's a good thing they managed to get back out before the rain started to fall again.
We're going again. Yeah, rain had just picked up. So
only 7 deliveries.
Yeah, before the second rain delay.
In as many overs.
Yeah, frustrating for both sets of players and for us as well. So looks like this could be a bit more heavy and on-set delay. I wonder if an early teasing play, but just a 7 delivery. Sussex moved to 50 for 3. Welcome back to what I can only describe is going to be a marathon evening session. Early tea taken after the players were taken from the field twice in 7 balls. 53.4 overs still left in the day. A very long one ahead is about half of the Durham team make their way down. 2 batters are ready to get going again. Yes, lights are on. Scheduled close of play is 6:18, but with the fact that you can't make up time on the final day with fixed timings and the rain delays we've had, we will not be finishing at 6:18. They will just keep going until the overs are bowled, and as long as the light will hold. So make sure you've got some drinks and snacks ready, because this is, as I say, a marathon session coming up. Toby Reynolds and Rob Rush to guide you through it. Hopefully Emily Windsor will make her way over for a chat as well, as the players finally return to the middle. Sam Connors has got 4 balls left of his 3rd over to finish off, and still looks as if there is some rain around us, so potentially some more disruption later on.
And before we get underway, a reminder, you can follow Durham across all of our social media channels: Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and of course YouTube, where you're watching this. You can drop a like on the stream, subscribe to the channel as well to keep up to date with all of the live streams, player interviews, and many, many more across the year. And also, if you want to get in contact with us, feel free to comment on the live stream. Should be able to see all of the messages from you guys, and also get in contact with Rob and I directly. I'm @TReynolds_sport. Robbie, Rob Rush _
Rob Rush 02
02
on X. Just a polite request, if you are going to comment on the live stream, please keep it cricket related and friendly. Connors is in after tea. If there are any comments that aren't any of those 2 things, the chat will go off. Or if you want to email us, streaming at durhamcricket.co.uk. But yeah, please keep it on theme in the chat, otherwise it will be switched off. Just a 1 slip there of Colin Ackerman. Pretty much a ring field, and 2 sweepers on the leg side. Sam Connors thinks he's got him. Umpire does not agree. Saying upstairs during that break, Durham kind of need to go bang bang again here after the tea break, much like Potts and Rain did after lunch. They need more Sussex wickets with that lead at 84. The good news is they will have plenty of time in the evening session to get them, but that would allow Coles, who defied them in the first innings, and Ibrahim to get a partnership going. Definitely be a lot of work for George Giselle to get through at some point. Nicely punched off the back foot, but straight to Gay. And as I mentioned, maybe some work for Will Rhodes as well in this sort of situation, although he wasn't used in the first innings by Alex Lees. We'll have to wait and see where he goes. Colin Ackerman as well, a part-time option. Potentially towards the end of the day, if Lees just wants to give his fast bowlers a rest. George Giselle is there at forward square leg, and Coles just plays it into the ground just in front of Giselle. No runs from the last 4 balls of that Connors over. Over 8 currently reading +9 on the scoreboard away towards Bannatynes.
Yeah, you mentioned Drizzell. We're yet to see any spin today. So it might be interesting to see how the pitch does play if and when you see some of that off spin. Sussex also with James Coles have some options with spin. Jack Carson as well. But the leader in now and challenging the pads. Just going to be trailing down the leg side, you'd assume there. As it is signalled leg by the umpire.
Yeah, it's too straight. It's too straight. It's definitely leg side. No, you'd feel very aggrieved as a batter if the finger goes up for that.
There are always a few every season. As the leader starts well. Bit shorter this time, and Coles can't cash in. Looks to try and cart that one through the offside. But just a bottom edge means it just heads out towards Matt Potts at mid-off. Couple sweepers on the square leg boundary for the leader, and also one on the cover boundary in front of the groundsman. And similarly, just the one slip and a pretty conventional ring field otherwise. Backward point, short extra, mid on, mid off, mid wicket. Full and straight and just clipped into the leg sides. But a very long tumble from Ben Rain. Gets down for that one. Having a bit of a laugh. Keeping the spirits high of his teammates. Always great to see.
So that's the thing Sussex will also be able to play on, for the fact that it will be a very long evening session for Durham. Can just keep him out there.
Perfect from the leader. Just the one run from this over so far. One ball to come. That's a bit shorter and just drops the hands smartly from Coles there. Sways out the way and lets it fly through to Ollie Robinson behind the stumps. Maiden over from Baz the leader. It was a leg by in there, but doesn't go down against the bowler. .51 for 3. Sussex. Sam Connors to continue from the Finkel end.
Yeah, it looks like Durham are really going to go straight here and target those pads.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of a short ball ploy pretty early on from Rain and Potts, and before that, the Sussex attack relied pretty heavily on short ball wickets.
I wouldn't necessarily say it was short ball from Durham, just more that back of a length sort of line. There wasn't really any bouncers. The odd one here and there, maybe from Rain. But Potts was definitely part of a concerted effort to push it up. You know, getting those two chopped on wickets. So as well, there's not really a standout bowler if Durham want to go to that short ball stuff. There's not really a standout bowler that would do it.
Possibly the leader. He did it. He's done it a few times before. It's not quite express pace though either.
That's lovely from Coles. Nice clip. That's going to be the first boundary of the evening session. Graham Clark is very square. An awful lot of ground for him to cover. He's not able to cut it off. Yeah, potentially Bass could do it. He'd be more of a skiddy option in terms of the short ball stuff, but yeah, it's difficult when we're probably a fair bit away from Durham going to all-out bumpers. You know, lights on, very darkened, gloomy overhead with, once again, very more menacing clouds away to the pavilion side of the ground. Wind seems to have died down a little bit, though.
Yeah, still a little breeze, but as you say, very much reduced.
I think we'll just see these two are definitely going to set in for a little bit. Connor's coming towards the end of his fourth. Delayed has just bowled 2. Probably looking at, again, similar sort of stint lengths as Rain and Potts. Obviously, they'll be wary of both of these two having not played an awful lot of cricket. Delayed and Connor's both ramping up their recovery for the 2s last week. But Delayed having had that stress fracture as it's 5 from the over. And Connor's with a side strain, which as a fast bowler is probably the worst type of injury you can have. So these will be careful with them. That's where I think definitely Drizel will have a big role to play, and maybe Will Rhodes as well. Speaking of the Durham Seconds, they are in action down against Kent at Polo Farm.
It's just pushed into the offside there from Ibrahim for a simple single. Yeah, first class game for Connors in a year pretty much. He obviously played in Zimbabwe in those warm-up games, pre-season tour.
Yeah, I think he played the first one and then missed out on the second, and that's where the side strain kind of kicked in. No need to take any risks in pre-season. Then a sneeze redid it just as he was coming back to fitness.
Just turned into the leg side. They're pushing hard here. Going to think about 2, and then will make it back for it. Just too far in front of square there for Gay to cut off.
Yeah, a lot of work for Emilio to run round and try and grab that. Yeah, Durham Seconds currently have Kent Seconds 211 for 7. Callum Parkinson, Zach Maudsley, Mitch Clean, Brett Hutchinson and Johnny Bushnell back in a Durham shirt with the wickets.
Full and straight and flicked slightly airily round the corner.
Dan Hogg as well in that Seconds game. See if he's potentially in line to travel down to Surrey. As Ryan Campbell's mentioned, it's nice to have his senior, his seam bowlers, bowl with no restrictions on them for once, rather than having to be watched.
Oh, good stop there from Rain. Strong hands. Stops what could have been a pretty inevitable boundary otherwise. But in the end, it's a dot ball. Yeah, Durham did struggle with a lot of injuries, in particular, earlier this season. Likes of Connors, Carse, Coughlin, Hogg, plus a few of the rookies as well. All injured at one stage, forcing a few surprise loan spells. Jake Ball and Jack Blatherwick, and also Cody Youssef coming in as a as an overseas seamer as well.
Yeah, Cody's been particularly impressive. Really endeared himself to Durham fans. No, Ashthorpe loves him. Ooh.
Scamper through for a quick single.
Good running in the end, but
A little bit slow off the mark, it felt like. But once he got going,
yeah.
pretty comfortably home.
No, Cody Yusuf's been really good and he's been rewarded with a maiden test call-up for South Africa as they go to Zimbabwe. David Beddingham's also in that party. So, and with the news that Neil Wagner is struggling with injury, perhaps Durham going to look to try and extend Yusuf's spell, try and open it up until the rest of the season to have him as the overseas pro. In the bowling department, David Bedingham will come back once the Zimbabwe tour is over and be a really nice mid-season boost for the club. It's a tight leave from Ibrahim, especially as well. Bedingham missed the first game of the season, then I think suffered a toe injury in his first appearance. What it would have been against Warwickshire here in that one-wicket thriller early on, so he's missed a fair bit of time and then came back against Somerset and then went away for the World Test Championship finals, not been seen since. So it's opened up opportunities for other batters to stake their claim.
Yeah, assuming Wagner and maybe even Neesham get games in the Red Bull format, that could be upwards of 25, 26 players Durham will have used so far this season.
Yeah, well, there's nothing official on Neesham. That's just pure speculation. You have to wait and see whether he does end up.
Be a useful player to have if he does get a game in.
Short and pulled nicely, but there is protection out there in the form of Graham Clark. You know, ultimately, you've got to look at the options of someone like Will Rhodes, who started the season number 7, didn't get the runs, was left out, now gets an opportunity because of a knock to Ben McKinney. Always got to try and look at the positive side of things rather than the negative when it comes to these sorts of situations. So, well, yes, it can be frustrating. It allows other players to make a name for themselves. You know, James Minto, who burst onto the scene back end of last year, able to get a couple of games under his belt so far this year, and he's looked pretty good as well, carrying on his good form. He's currently away with the under-19s for England. You know, Daniel Hogg, I think, replaced Cody Yusuf as a concussion sub earlier in the year. He's one to look out for. He'll continue to improve, so plenty of options as Connors looks to zone in on the stumps. And Sussex just doing a nice job. It's not easy for the batters either, constantly coming on and going back off and then having your tea break and having to properly restart again. And as you mentioned, lights on. It's very, very dark here at the Riverside. That's a very loose shot from James Coles. He's very fortunate not to have got any bat on that. Connor's very tidy from that over, just the one from it.
Yeah, big swish there from Coles. We've seen him play a few more aggressive shots. That's probably been the loosest of the lot we've seen, though. They do continue with a couple sweepers out behind square on the leg sides, as well as Graham Clark on the cover boundary. The leader in again and challenging the front pad. And they scamper through for a single. very much wicket to wicket so far today from Durham. That was a bit shorter, hit on the heads.
I think that's top edge into that as well.
Yeah, there was definitely two noises. Are they not going to have to get a concussion check on, perhaps? It almost looped back up towards Baz the leader.
Yeah, there will be a check.
Yeah, gloves are coming off. You hope he's all right, James Coles. It was a sharp bouncer from the leader. And it almost looped up back towards him. Fell a bit short in the end, though.
Yeah, I was just going on a quick update of what's going on around the grounds. England 246 for 2, requiring a further 125. Ben Duckett being a linchpin of that innings. Essex have reached 44 for 1 at tea as they respond to Hampshire's first innings total 453. Warwickshire 317 for 7 against Somerset. Yorkshire 314 for 5. Finley Bean going really well at Trent Bridge. Gloucestershire are 221 for 3. They're back into the lead now by 10 runs against Derbyshire. Lancashire 357 for 3. They are closing in on Kent's first innings total, but that game looks to be aiming or heading for a draw. Middlesex 97 for 1, leading Northamptonshire by 75. Down at Northampton, and Glamorgan 22 for 2. Really struggling after Leicestershire declared on 576 for 7. As a Tribe not able to open, they've had to go with Mason Crane, and he has just been dismissed for 12 from 26 of Sam Northeast and Kieran Carlson having to bat what looks like it's going to be the majority of the remainder of the game for the Welsh side if they want to come out of it with a share of the points.
Yeah, with being 200 behind at the moment, Glamorgan, you'd assume that they've got to bat pretty much all day today and best part of tomorrow as well. Because even if they leave, 100, even if they lead by 100, it's more than chaseable in a session, that. And I'm sure Leicester would give it their best shot. Looks like Coles will continue. Helmet's back on, gloves are going on. I think probably the top edge took a little bit of pace out of it. And he's seemingly all right to continue, which is always great to see. Pushed into the offside nicely there from Coles and gets all the way to the rope there. Beats Graham Clark there at cover. Right on the boundary and flies away across this pretty quick outfield here at the Banks Home Riverside. Moves into the 30s. Does James Coles. An impressive knock so far from him. Similar shot that time, not quite the same result. Playing it in front of square towards Clark, who gathers. Coles has been the most fluent of any of the batters really we've seen in this game. Fantastic 148 not out in the first innings. Ibrahim just dabs that one behind point.
Just a little bit of movement there from Delayed, a little bit of hint of in swing there. Saw in the first innings Durham really trying to work on it and get a nice shine on the Kookaburra. Mental overhead conditions definitely helping the bowlers.
Full and straight and beats the dive of rain there. They'll get a couple for their troubles there. Moves Sussex on to 70 to end that, the leader over. 70 for 3 Sussex. Leading by 104 now. Still a long way to go in this game yet though. 48 overs today. And another 90 odd at least tomorrow.
You won't want to leave Durham anything under 300 because you know they'll go for it. Sussex really now, after that burst after lunch, just need to bat time and settle the nerves and make sure that they put some overs into Durham's legs. Connors to continue. It's really nice looking shot. Pulled in front of square for 4 more from Coles. Just looking to punish Durham even more after that 148 not out he got in the first innings.
I think that might bring up the 50 partnership as well. Possibly between them. Or are they still a couple short? No, still a few short.
Another lovely pull shot from Coles. Maybe the hit on a helmet has kind of sparked him into life. That is the 50 partnership between Coles and Ibrahim, a much needed one from Sussex's point of view. And Durham just frustrated by these two.
Into the 40s Coles goes as well. 40 or 55. Flurry of boundaries pushing him on.
Good response from Connors.
Yeah, good leave by Coles there, but only just missed the top of his off stump there. Got to be a little bit careful. The ball is still moving around a fraction.
Those two beautiful James Coles boundaries, the runs from the over, 78 for 3.
The leader to continue here from the Lumley ends. Pretty similar field to he's had all games so far today. That one's dropped into the leg side. I think a single perhaps missed as Matt Potts collects. running round from mid-wicket to square leg.
I wouldn't want to be taking on Matthew Potts with a quick single. One of the better athletes and fielders in this side.
Outside off this time and left alone from Ibrahim. Playing his first game of the season in the county championship, just 20 years old. Daniel Ibrahim, James Cole similarly, 21. Very youthful partnership. This one. And again, left alone. No shot offered to the ball outside off stump. Cut away nicely, but doesn't get a hold of it. Perhaps a fraction too close to his body to really free his arms. Yeah, Ibrahim was the second youngest player ever to play for Sussex when he made his debut a few years ago now. Season after COVID. Straighter this time from the leader and defended from Ibrahim. Featured pretty prominently for the twos, the Sussex twos this season. Made 99 against Glamorgan twos, 71 against Essex, and last game 183 against the Leicestershire second 11. Full and straight and driven beautifully straight down the ground. Sumptuous drive there from Daniel Ibrahim to end that over. Just the 4 runs from it, but all 4 coming from that final delivery. Just putting a slight dampener on that Basdelida over, as we will see Ben Rain coming back into the attack, possibly as rain itself becomes a factor. The clouds have come in. It's a bit darker again, with a lot of grey, dark grey clouds above us here in Chesterley Street. Sam Connors whipped out the attack.
Alex Lees wants a ball change.
I think he's saying how every county captain will be feeling in these next couple overs. Sorry, next couple rounds. County Championship.
Very quickly told no.
He's then going to the other umpire to plead with it. He's holding it with a bit of disdain as much as anything else. Looking disgustedly almost at the ball. That was the one issue with playing during the rain that they did for a few deliveries before the tea break. Just means it's gotten even softer than it already would have been, this 25 over old ball.
Short to start.
Wicket up in Headingley, or down in Headingley, sorry. Ben Duckett goes 149, and Brooke goes instantly after. That one's into the thigh pads. Brook Falls' first ball. That's 2-2 for Shardul Thakur. England 4 down, still requiring 118. Slightly nervy chase. It could be now. But Joe Root still at the crease. Ben Stokes will be coming out now. Possibly still a little bit of a chance of rain in Yorkshire as well. Ibrahim happy to leave that one alone.
He's having a chat with his England bowler Potts, maybe double change.
Yeah, Potts is definitely warming up at the moment. The leader has bowled well, I thought. He's been very disciplined. But the last couple overs, he's let through the odd boundary. Been a little bit looser. That 1-4 off the last over to leader bowled, and the over previously went for 8. And realistically, it's going to be Matt Potts and Ben Rain, you'd think, the 2 strike bowlers, to maybe cut this game wide open. We've seen them both do it many times before for Durham.
Tight leave to end 83 for 3, and he's indeed the England man, asked by his skipper to come back into the attack. Switch of ends for both of these two. Rain normally operates the Lumley end and Potts the Finkel, and it's going to be Potts from the Lumley to follow Rain from the Finkel.
What do you reckon Lees is thinking about when swapping the ends here? Do you think it's just the fact you want to Rain on for an over first and happen to be that was the end, or?
Nah, I don't think there's anything much to it. It's just he definitely can tell that this partnership is really frustrating. I think Sussex,
they want to leave the field, don't they? Batters are walking off.
I think they're complaining about the light rather than the rain. So before Lees can bring on his England international, he's going to be taken from the field. Yeah, I think this is bad light more than anything, and Alex Lees is not happy, having a word with the umpire. So this will be where the light reading is taken and be in play for the rest of the game. Still 45 overs left in this evening session. So we'll take a break and we'll be with you when we return. Welcome back once more. Initially went off for bad light, then for some rain. So light reading has been taken. Definitely some time lost as well out of this evening session. And won't be made up because of the fixed timings on day 4. Maybe going to see spin instead of Matt Potts, who was really about to settle in for a spell from that Lumley end, but just saw Ollie Robinson walking out with a helmet on, and it's going to be George Drizel. Have to wait and see. I don't think the umpires have mandated for Durham to go to 2 spinners. I mean, we'll have that clarified after Drizel's over if Colin Ackerman is bowling.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's surprising not to see Potts back on, because it's still good seam bowling conditions, you'd think, with the low clouds, lights on. So yeah, will be, as you say, interesting to see who's bowling from the other end. Maybe Potts is just a few mile an hour too quick, or perhaps they want to try and rattle through a few overs. In comes Dressel to Coles, who's onto the front foot immediately and through the legs of the off spinner. Races to the boundary for 4. Misfield there. The offie will be disappointed that he's let that one through him. And Coles gets underway with another boundary.
Sloppy start. Should never have been for there. Should have been stopped. Not what Drizel wants.
A bit too straight that time and just pushed into the leg side. They're going to come back for 2. Reasonably comfortably in the end.
So confirmation that it's 2 overs that have been lost due to that delay.
Just prodded down the ground again there. Towards Matt Potts in at mid-wicket. Use of feet from Coles. Smashes that one down the ground. Gorgeous drive there. 4 more to Coles total, and I think that takes him to 50. It does indeed, from just 65 deliveries. Striking them nicely so far. 10 fours along the way. Has been Sussex's star batter in this game so far. 148 in the first innings. 50 up in the second. And he's yet to be dismissed. Fraction shorter. Fired in from Dressel to end the over. 93 for 3 Sussex. This partnership has been building slowly, steadily. With a few rain delays and bad light delays throughout. And Ben Rain does continue from the Finkel end. He bowled 1 over before the break in play. That does suggest that Potts could have bowled that previous over. But perhaps Lees is just trying to save him until he knows he can bowl a few overs in a row without the fear of going off.
It's good to know that Durham aren't being forced to go to spin from both ends. I think if they were, Alex Lees would probably ask to just go off again.
Yeah, I agree. There's very unlikely that Durham would find themselves in a winning position come the end of the day if they're forced to bowl spin from both ends.
Nicely pulled along the carpet. Rain just changing his field. Wonder if Leeds might have to go back to pots anyway. That was an expensive first over from Giselle. Needs to be trusted to keep an end going, and if he can't do that, they might have to turn to pots anyway. But
I think you probably give him a second and see how he goes from there. Got to settle in for his first overs of the day. But I think you are right. You can't really risk Sussex getting on a roll and flying along because they're 128 ahead right now. And I think anything more than 200, maybe 250 by the end of the day. It's a long way to go, but if they're anywhere near that, it's going to be tricky for Durham. So the run rate has been climbing in the last probably 10 overs. Connors and the leader were both pretty tidy when they first came on, and then with a few stoppages in the early tee, and since then it's been definitely flowing for Sussex a bit more.
Rain reels the run rate in, just one from the over.
Yeah, you can see why Lees has turned to Rain, his senior bowler. Just trying to slow Sussex as much as anything else. Ibrahim is yet to really get going, but Coles has been impressive so far, as he looks to possibly go for back-to-back tons in this game. Dressel does continue. Ibrahim just onto the front foot to defend. We see Clark under the lids. That was flicked in towards Matt Potts. He throws for a direct hit. I think it possibly pings Ollie Robinson on the forearm. He is alright to continue. Just flexes it out a fraction. That one almost squeezes through the defences there of Ibrahim. A few oohs and ahs from Dressel and the rest of the field. Just seeing if they can squeeze a wicket now. Squeeze Sussex. And that one does grip a fraction. And again, the oohs and ahs echo around the field. That was flicked away. Straight into the hands of Matt Potts, though. 5 dots in this over. And a maiden. Very, very good comeback here from the offie. He went for 10 from his first over, but goes without conceding in over number 2. Very, very tidy over, indeed. Exactly what Alex Lees would have asked from him, just to try and tie down an end, and therefore allow your premium quicks, your Ben Rains, your Matt Potts, Sam Connors, Baz the leader, to come in almost exclusively from the other end, it means. We see Rain in again now.
Carved off the back foot, but is protection. Can still some rain in the air as Rain is in and just plodded up to Lees.
Slight adjustment to the field here as Graham Clark's coming in at silly mid-on there, just to the right of the wicket. And we're also seeing Sam Connors coming in from the boundary to a more regulation mid-wicket.
Going straight. Going straight, really trying to target the pads and the stumps. Delayed set off from Coles, but I don't think was cleanly taken by Colin Ackerman.
He's wincing a fraction there, holding his ankle. I think he's just twisted it. Yeah, he looks like he'll be okay to walk that off.
Please, not another injury this season. Please, had too many of these.
I reckon it must be double figures. Durham injuries. He looks okay though. Back in to slip. And again Ben Rain targeting the pads. This time just clipped into the leg side. So we're nearing the 100 now for Sussex. And the lead's not miles away from 150. And again we see Lees and Rain having a chat, and again Clark comes across, not quite as straight this time.
Yeah, he's always constantly thinking, is Alex Lees, he's empowered by Ryan Campbell to think about ways of taking 20 wickets rather than trying to keep a run rate down. So everything they do is with a purpose rather than just trying to plug gaps. At least there's some pretty funky fields like this, but there is method in the madness. One ball left. Rain's 11th over, been very tidy. Just 24 runs conceded. .98 for 3.
England still underway in Headingley at the moment, requiring 102 to win with Root and Stokes at the crease. Otherwise, around the county game, Essex batting again against Hampshire, trail by just under 100, 62 for 2. Warwickshire still batting against Somerset, 150 behind. Use the feet there from Ibrahim, but doesn't get a hold of it. Surrey have already won by 9 wickets as they're looking to try and close the gap to Nottinghamshire at the top of the table. And speaking of Nottinghamshire, they're currently bowling to Yorkshire, who are 150 odd behind. Defended again there. Yorkshire 5 down, 3-3-1 for 5. And then in Division 2, all the other games still going strong. Gloucestershire, best part of 50 ahead against Derbyshire, but they're batting for the second time at the moment, 257 for 3. After Derbyshire put on almost 400, first time of asking. Lancashire lead by just 18 in Blackpool against Kent. Yusuf Featon just sort of cloth down the ground there. Ibrahim yet to really middle one. Currently 22 off 70. Works that one into the leg side. Slightly airily, but too far behind square to be any sort of catching opportunity for Graham Clark. And then finally Middlesex lead by 110 in Northampton. They're currently 132 for 1 after Northampton took a slight lead at the halfway stage. And also Glamorgan trailing by 173 in Leicester. 3 down with only 50 on the scoreboard in their second innings.
Yeah, it's nice bowling from George Giselle there. Can just see Ibrahim was getting drawn over just to outside his off stump, so that's him trying to negate any sort of spin, but by doing that, if Giselle can get one to turn, then maybe brings one onto the stumps as Ben Rain thinks about setting off, but wants Ackerman in at regulation slip.
I think Rain will probably try and bowl a fair way outside of off, or at least challenging the top of off. At the moment, they've only got the 3 fielders on the leg side, the sweeper at deep square, and nothing particularly far behind square on the leg side, so can't stray too straight here, can Ben Rain.
Clipped. Be a couple for Coles.
That brings up the 100 for Sussex as well. 31.2 overs, just over 2 hours they've been batting for, on and off today. And Coles the leader so far, 53 not out, as he faces up to Ben Rain.
Well, he's not facing up to Ben Rain anymore. Just what Durham needed. You need a wicket. Cool, Mr. Ben Rain. Sussex lose their 4th and James Coles has to be dismissed. He has to go for 53. Ben Rain sneaking one through the defences. And can that open up an opportunity for Durham to potentially get into a winning position?
Yeah, it was a bit surprising to see that from Coles. He was batting really, really nicely. Looked to just try and work that one too far into the leg sides. I think Range got it to nip back a fraction. And it just took the top of off Sent it cartwheeling. And as you say, Rob, puts Durham in a much better position with that big breakthrough. It'll probably bring out John Simpson, though, who is in fine form so far this year. But below that, there's a reasonably strong tail, but it is into the lower order. A few more wickets here. There's still a long way to go today. At least another 30 odd, maybe the best part of 40 overs today, depending on light, rain and other conditions. But that's going to boost Durham that little bit more. With Rain's second wicket of the innings. Having got Tom Clark 2 edge behind earlier today.
Big wicket for Durham and James Coles. This is arguably just as big. With how good John Simpson has been since moving to Sussex. Really came at a time when nothing was really going on. Since that break, really, Sussex looked to be cruising. But as always with this Ryan Campbell group, they don't know when they're beaten. And they're able to conjure something up.
Yeah, Rain coming round the wicket to the left-hander again. And again challenges these batters.
Two from the over, but most importantly, James Coles has been removed. Ben Rain 2 for 26. Ibrahim on 22, and Simpson just watching his first 3 deliveries.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether Ibrahim will be able to try and shift up the gears now. Coles was the free-flowing batter at the crease. And Sussex could just get stuck a little bit if they can't boost the scoring. That one's defended into the leg side towards the lurking Graham Clark, but not really offering any opportunities to him so far today. That time outside off, and that one's gripped and turned nicely. Bounced as well. That one's just dabbed into the offside. Thoughts of a single, but nothing on offer in the end. Ackerman still running around a little bit gingerly. Hard to tell whether it's just because it's pretty cold out there and pretty windy. Not fired in a bit more and cut away nicely by Ibrahim towards the rope, but it won't get there. Baz the leader cuts off the boundary and they only come back for 2. It's always good to see the ball gripping, turning, bouncing. We have seen a little bit more from Dressel so far this over. There's a bit of doubt in the batter's mind. So that one almost cuts back in. But Ibrahim survives again. But again, it's gripping and turning. He gets his pad out and leaves it alone. 2 runs from the over. 102 for 4. Most importantly, for 4. With Ben Rain getting another massive wicket in that last over. The wicket of James Coles, who at the time had scored over 200 runs without being dismissed. Just in the game. But he's now back in the pavilion with the Sussex lower order in the sights of this Durham attack.
Inside edge for Simpson to get off the mark.
A few bold bends echoing around out there. Yeah, again, we've got to stress how well Ben Rain has bowled. 2 wickets he's picked up. But an economy of just 2.2. And they're now bringing in a catcher, silly mid off this time. George Dressel alongside Graham Clark, who's in there at silly mid on. And it is defended out towards Dressel.
I think just annoyance for Simpson at the non-striker's end. Gonna have to avoid them. It goes to the right-hand side of Graham Clark. Ben Rain wants Ollie Robinson to stand up to Ibrahim, and the wicketkeeper obliges.
I think this could be a really smart decision. It's going to just feel like Ibrahim's penned in here. 2 fielders dead in front of him. Ben Rain charging towards him. And Ollie Robinson less than a metre behind him. And even there, no respite. Unable to get off strike as he nailed that one towards Connors in there at a slightly shorter mid-wicket. And similarly, Emilio Gay is not far away on the offside either. And Ibrahim's strike rate continues to drop. His defence yet to waver.
Last ball of the over. Just 1 from it in total, 103 for 4.
Helmet back on for Clark. In a Short leg for the left-handed John Simpson now, which means Dressel has a lefty to bowl at. Can angle the ball in, turn it away. Oh, he's actually dropping in behind square, is Clark. Quite a wide leg slip, but not quite a leg gully. Simpson prods at that one. Again, Dressel's probing away. Went for 10 off his first over. He's gone for just 2 since then. Use of feet from Simpson, but can only dab it out into the offsides. That pot's just lurking in there at short extra. And again towards Asima, who fields well. This time the inside half of the bat. Dressel finds. That's the first scoring shot in quite a while there. 10 dots in a row Durham had managed. Simpson retains strike for the next over, it means, though. He'll be facing up to Rain. Not sure Rain will be too disappointed about that. I think the umpire... No, I was going to say he's maybe checking the light, but actually I think he's just walked off in the wrong direction, not realising the left-handed Simpson is facing up. The field's not quite as tightly packed for Simpson, knowing that he can counter-attack well. Round the wicket comes Rain. And onto the back foot goes Simpson, but just straight out towards Captain Lees.
Yeah, got 2 straight mid wickets now. Really trying to cramp Simpson for room. Gets the outside edge. Runs away for 1.
Yeah, Simpson slightly playing around his front pad there. I think the bat was almost coming across from gully. And with the ball nipping away a fraction from Rain, just meant it found the outside half of the bat. And a thick outside edge allowed them through for the single. But they are back to this tightly packed field for Dan Ibrahim. Silly mid on, silly mid off. Short mid wicket, short extra cover as well.
Beats all of them. We're going to look for 2. It'll just be 1 in the end. The batters will settle. After a delayed start to the evening session at Headingley, they are now underway, England, with under 100 needed to win that opening test at Headingley.
Yeah, could and should be an exciting finish down there. Could be an exciting finish tomorrow here at Chesley Street as well. Slashed at that one, does Simpson. But the exciting finish relies a little bit on Durham capitalising now on these tricky batting conditions. and making a couple more breakthroughs this evening. I think if they can get Sussex maybe 7 down overnight with these 2 top order batters gone, puts them in a really good position tomorrow coming back.
Tight leave from Simpson, but a good one.
Yeah, there's 2 types of leaves, they say. That was a good leave.
And towards the end of the 6th over of this spell from rain. Wonder how much longer Alex Lees will give him after that long opening spell. That's a lovely shot from Simpson. First boundary for him, just not wanting to be affected by Ben Rain anymore. Pulls that magnificently in front of square. Picks up a boundary down towards us in the commentary box. Matthew Potts has to go retrieve. 110 for 4. Lead is 144. But from Durham's point of view, Ibrahim is not going anywhere.
Dressel continues from the Lumley end. And perhaps a feather of an inside edge there. Almost popping up. But not carrying towards Lees in there at short extra. Again onto the front foot to defend. And that one grips and turns significantly from outside off stump. Not far at all away from crashing into that off stump. Ibrahim continues to survive.
Something's happening here.
He's onto the front foot to defend there. Pushes that one through point. Gets off strike.
Yeah, Ackerman is not moving freely at all compared to what he normally is. Gotta hope that it's nothing serious.
You think if it was, he might just head off the pitch for a little bit to have it seen to. Good again there from Dressel. Just 1 ball remains in his 6th over. The lead's at 1-4-5 at the moment for Sussex. But it's not easy batting at the moment. That's almost chipped back towards the offie. Simpson survives. Slight leading edge there. Almost his undoing. Sussex finish on 1-1-1 for 4. On the 37th over. It's about 32 overs minimum remaining. Although actually with the bad light, the gloomy conditions.
Yeah, the umpire's getting together for another chat as well.
I wonder if they're going to force Ackerman to bowl here. Or at least...
And off we go once more.
They're not even doing that. Just calling it. They must have taken a reading without any of us realising. Well, they're taking one now. Maybe because of the rain, the last one doesn't count?
No, I think it works. They would have had that chat would have been around the light, and if Durham do want to continue bowling a seam bowler in Ben Rain, the light, because we went off for light first
before
last
the rain,
time.
yeah.
So they definitely took a reading then. And this one is obviously with the thing in mind that Durham want to continue with Ben Rain or any seamer from one end. It's frustrating for Durham because they were starting to get some errors out of Sussex. unfortunately picked up the wicket of James Coles for 53. But with the dark clouds, every chance that could be it for day 3. But we will be back with you if we get any more further play.
And for those of you still joining us on Durham Live, play has been abandoned for the day here at Banks Homes Riverside, with Sussex 111 for 4, leading Durham by 149. Make sure to join us tomorrow at about 5 to 11 as day 4 gets underway here in Chesley Street. That's all, folks. Bye for now.